Dear panelists, research advisors, and co-researchers, good day to each and everyone. We are the Group 2 from Grade 12 STEM H, and today we will present our research study entitled Aqualaria malaxensis agarwood as an organic source of perfume alternative to oud bakul burning. But first of all, we would like to introduce ourselves. I'm Omar Mercado, and my co-researchers of STEM H2Q are with me. And they are Franz Andre Banyaga, John Winfred Biltz, Nets Ayon Cabunsol, Ralph Humphrey Carmen, Ashley Jana Nava, Juliana Christine Noble, Arel Christopher Panelo, Royce Kihon, Ayumi Swalog, and Sofia Leslie Ventura. We would like to provide all of you an overview for Chapter 1, 3, 4, and 5 as a guide for this presentation. Now, may I call my fellow researchers for the presentation of Chapter 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mercado. And now for the background of the study. It starts with the introduction of consumers who use the method of oud bakul burning, which is classified as incense burning to produce a scented smoke that is described as a strong musky scent of Aqualaria malaxensis. It is widely used, especially in Arabian countries, for their personal use and practices. However, according to the study conducted by Cohen, Saxon, and Yates in 2013, the volatile organic compounds and other gaseous components found in the burning are linked to cancer and other health risks. This resulted in conducting an experimental study on formulating an organic perfume using Aqualaria malaxensis oil to provide an alternative to oud bakul burning. Since perfume are highly volatile liquid distillate that easily evaporate and purify organic compounds, a study by Alamia et al. 2022. And now for the presentation of theoretical framework. In line with the study of Yadav, Sai, and Kudhari in 2020, it was explained that burning incense may seriously harms one's health due to the toxins and irritants in the poorly ventilated room. Moreover, Aqualaria malaxensis can be used in various ways, such as essential oil, powder, chips, and others that can produce its ethereal scent. Lastly, according to Ismail et al. In 2014, the firm competitive advantage and customer satisfaction connects to consumer's behavioral theory developed by Kotler and Armstrong in 1994, wherein consumers' decisions have been influenced by the advantage and other aspects that shows the benefit, stated by Subawa in 2014. Now let's move on to the conceptual framework presented by Mr. Banyaga.
Thank you. Now for the conceptual framework, the input process in the output model in the science investigatory scheme were used to serve as the study's guide in conducting the study. Presented in the input section shows the creation of the Aquarium census perfume, including its ingredients and the use of OBP. In addition, the creation of the modified survey questions and the evaluation checklist was to be used to evaluate the perfume. The process section shows the insertion procedure made. The formulated perfume was tested in a laboratory for further credible information and the distribution of the modified survey questionnaires for the evaluation for the products. With that, the data received was interpreted. The output section includes the interpreted results based on the assay's quality and the performance of the AMOP and OBB regarding the laboratory test for the perfume and the respondents evaluation for both products. Now let's move on to the statement of the problem presented by Ms. Ventura.
And for the statement of the problem, this study aims to produce an organic perfume from Aqualaria malaxensis as an alternative to using oud bakul burning. It specifically aims to answer the following queries. Number 1, what are the formulation followed in producing Aqualaria malaxensis as an organic source of perfume? Number 2, what are the observed material preparation for using oud in bakul burning? Number 3, what are the observed physical characteristics of AMOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, odor, and longevity? Number 4, what are the observed similarities or difference between AMOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, odor, longevity. Number 5, what are the results of the AMOP laboratory testing in terms of pH level, allergen screening test, and microbiological testing? Number 6, how much does it cost to formulate Acularia malaxensis as an organic source of perfume and distribute commercial wood to conduct wood backward burning? Number 7, what is the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, odor or scent, longevity, medicinal essence, and cost? Number 8, is there a significant difference between the respondents' degree of agreement on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB? And now may I call on Ms. Nobler for the hypothesis.
For the research hypothesis, this study aims to test a null hypothesis, indicating that there is no significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, odor or scent, longevity, medicinal essence, and cost. Next is the significance of the study. For the significance of the study, this research aimed to determine the effectiveness and benefits of using agarwood as a natural perfume source instead of wood burners. This research will be beneficial to the following: to the consumers who desire to buy eco-friendly goods, to the future researchers to offer an initial study about creating Aquilaria malaxensis perfume, to the perfumers to explore more on agarwood formulations. Lastly, to the students for knowledge and school experimentations. May I now call Mr. Banyaga for the scope and the limitation.
Thank you. Now for the scope and delimitation. The study scope includes first, aim to create an organic perfume using Acrolam Lexesis oil alternative for odd backward burning. Second, it is a quantitative quasi-experimental research approach. Third, it assesses the quality and consumer preference of AMOP and OBB. Fourth, it involves laboratory testing such as pH level, allergen, and microbiological testing. And lastly, use modified evaluation checklists and survey questionnaires. In contrast to that, the study delimited the following. First, the response and data were gathered from the modified research survey questionnaires, evaluation checklists, and laboratory experiments. There were a total of 30 respondents aged 18 to 55 years old, which are perfume and Bakur users and residents in Doha, Qatar. And the timeline ranges from the first and second semester of 2022 and 2023 of W. Roosevelt Rodriguez. This ends chapter 1. We'll be now moving to the presentation of chapter 3, presented by Mr. Tihon, Mr. Padelo, and Ms. Tomlin.
Thank you for that, Mr. Banyaga. Let's proceed directly to the methods of research. The study utilized a quantitative, quasi-experimental research design to examine the use of agarwood as an alternative to OBB. Watson 2015 stated that quantitative research analyzes numerical data and social occurrences to uncover trends and relationships. Moreover, Cyricilla 2022 defines experimental research as a disciplined approach to conducting scientific experiments using two variables. This quasi-experimental quantitative study aims to establish a cause and effect relationship between an independent variable and dependent variable. Now, let's proceed to the locale of the study. For the locale of the study, this research was carried out at FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez, Qatar Satellite Campus. The study also included respondents who were residents of Doha, Qatar. According to Abusin et al. 2022, in the GCC states like Qatar, there was a study on the potential health impacts of customary rituals such as burning incense and scented candles. This might harm the health of the country's residents, and as a result, this research is crucial in presenting an alternate method for using oud. The perfume was formulated in Al Nasser, Doha, Qatar. It was tested at Element Doha Materials Testing Laboratory. May I now call Mr. Royce Gihon for the respondents of the study.
Used in the study was a purposive non-probability sampling technique, according to Bertowaj in 2019. It is used in selecting respondents based on the set criteria for the study. The criteria that was set and used were respondents should be aged 18 to 55 years old, residents of Qatar, and perfume and Bakur users with experience. Let's now proceed to the research instruments. For the research instruments, the study used three research instruments to collect data that benefit the study and help the researchers. First is the laboratory testing, which evaluates the formulated perfume's physical and chemical structure regarding the pH level, allergen screening, and microbiological count. The second instrument is the modified evaluation checklist by Amin et al. 2021, which evaluates the quality of the AMOP in terms of the grading and criteria of the researchers. The final instrument, the modified survey questionnaires by Xiao et al. 2022 and Amil et al. 2021, were made with close-ended affirmative statements and 5-point Likert scale consisting of a total of 30 affirmative statements and followed the ratings of strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. We now call Mr. Al Panello for the data gathering procedure.
So the following methods and steps were used for the data gathering procedure and directed the researchers to compile the data required for this study. So the planning process of creating and preparing the perfume. The formulation plan was created to use the extracted agarwood oil and essential oils for the preparation of base notes, heart notes, and top notes. So the collection of products and the creation of modified questionnaires and checklists. So the needed products were collected and gathered for the creation of the perfume. Along with that was the creation of modified assessments. So the creation of the perfume. The formulated perfume was based on a study by Shet et al. In 2017. It contains jojoba oil and vodka alcohol, with 43% alcohol concentration as oil carriers. The essential oils used were lavender, oud oil, and vanilla. After the incubation period, distilled water was added. So the researcher's assessment of the developed perfume. A modified evaluation checklist was used to evaluate perfume formulations before lab testing and mass production. Laboratory testing. The product underwent laboratory testing for 3 weeks to determine pH level, allergy screening, and microbiological results. Mass production and distribution. The perfume was mass produced and assessed together with oud bakar burning with the modified survey questionnaires. Interpretation of data. The data received from the respondents were analyzed and interpreted according to the results acquired. So let's now proceed to the statistical tools and treatment of data. For the statistical tools and treatment of data, these were the processes and techniques used by the researchers to gather the statistical data for the study. So optical pH rate range formula, weighted mean, standard deviation, t-test, Microsoft Excel. This was used to interpret the results of t-test, formulae needed for the paired samples, t-test with one tail, computed t-value, degree of freedom, and confidence interval of difference. And finally, effect size and standard error. So this ends chapter 3. We will now be moving on to the presentation of chapter 4. Presented by Mrs. Swalog, Mrs. Nava, and Mr. Mercado.
Thank you, Mr. RL. And now let's proceed to the visual presentation, data analysis, and interpretation of the gathered data regarding the formulation, followed in production of MAOP. Observe materials preparation for OBB and the observed physical characteristic of MAOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, physical characteristic, and longevity. The formulation of Bacillара malaxensis as an organic source of perfume was based on Shetty et al. Study in 2017. Jojoba oil was used to eliminate unpleasant odors and colors while vodka was used as a solvent to assist the perfume. Alcohol-aided ingredient blending was used without changing the fragrance's appearance and scent. Vanilla was considered as one of the least volatile and stable essential oils, while oud was used as heart note to produce a satisfying musky scent. Lavender was chosen as top 1 note due to its calming, pain-relieving, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antibacterial properties. Distilled water was used to enhance its stability and longevity. The essential component was the oud wood chips, which were used to produce an overpowering, aromatic smoke. The incense charcoal was used to make burning oud slowly while releasing its fragrance. The bakur burner was used to serve as a holder for the wood chips and incense charcoal when the materials were being burned. The observed physical characteristics of MAOP and OBB in terms of color and texture are shown. The physical characteristic of MAOP and OBB in terms of color: MAOP is a cloudy white with yellow tint, while OBB is mixed of wood brown and dark brown. Texture of MAOP and OBB. The physical characteristic of MAOP and OBB in terms of texture: MAOP indicate a smooth application on the skin, while OBB is slightly rough and has grain texture. The observed physical characteristic of MAOP and OBB in terms of odor and scent. MAOP and OBB has different scent, with MAOP being musky and sweet, while being OBB musky, strong, slightly overpowering, and smoky. Longevity of MAOP and OBB in R units. MAOP's scent longevity is measured in R units, lasting 5 hours on a test subject with normal skin, 3 hours on a test subject with dry skin, and 8 hours on a test subject with oily skin, while OBB's scent lasted for 3 hours. Now, may I call Ms. Ashley Nava for the presentation of the further gathered data.
Thank you, Ms. Walog. Now let's have the visual presentations of the gathered data regarding the observed similarities and differences of AMOP and OBB in terms of color, texture, odor, scent, and longevity. The figures show that AMOP and OBB share no similarities in terms of their color and texture. Furthermore, the data shows that both AMOP and OBB emits a musky scent along with their different notes. Additionally, in terms of longevity, both products lasted for more than 1 hour. Let's now proceed to the laboratory results of AMOP in terms of pH level, allergen screening test, and microbiological tests. The table shows that AMOP has a pH level of 4.47, which is considered acidic as per the scale by Pivin et al. In 2019. Although a study by Proksch stated that 4.1 to 5.8 pH level is found in most body parts and is considered normal on the skin surface. Moreover, a study by Lukic, Pantelic, and Savic in 2021 claimed that the use of acidified topical products with a pH level ranging from 4 to 6, such as perfume, are ideal to use to maintain skin health. Furthermore, this table indicates the optimal pH range, having 4 as the minimum level and 7 as the maximum level. The data shows that AMOP falls within the optimal pH rate range. Moving on, the result of allergen screening tests have not detected any allergens except for a small amount of linalool, which is 0.009 ppm or 0.009 parts per million. A study by Soleimani and Joshi in 2020 indicated that linalool, which is extracted from lavender, is present in 60 to 90% of cosmetic products such as perfume, body lotion, and many more. Additionally, a dose of 20% of linalool have not been proven to cause any allergic reactions. Lastly, the result of the microbiological testing shows no detected microbials. This test was essential as it aims to assess the quality and microbiological safety of the product, as stated by the study of saliva in 2014. Let us now proceed to the cost analysis of AMOP and OBB. Table 5.1 consists of the components, prices, and quantities needed for the formulation of AMOP. With a total cost of 242 Qatari riyals, or 3,742 pesos, the researchers formulated 1,200 ml of AMOP. With that, the set selling price for the product is 40 Qatari riyals or 619 pesos per 100 ml. On the other hand, Table 5.2 also shows the components, prices, and quantities needed to distribute the product. It has a total cost of 55 Qatari riyals or 851 pesos and has a market price of 75 Qatari riyals or 1,160 pesos for 100 grams of wood chips with incense coals and bakur burner. To create a direct comparison with the selling prices, the weight of the OBB was proportioned and ratioed in parallel with the AMOP. Moreover, high prices are one of the reasons why consumers don't buy a certain product, as they consider the best value for the money as one of the three factors in purchasing products, as is stated by the study of Janssen and Langen in 2017. Let us now have Mr. Mercado to discuss the presentation of further gathered data.
Thank you for that, Ms. Nava. Now, let us discuss the degree of agreement of the respondents in terms of the color of AMOP and OBB, which is seen in Table 6.1. The respondents were asked if the color of the two products were pleasing to the eye, caught the attention, and was in a neutral shade, and does it positively impacted the quality appearance. Well, overall, in the category of the two products, the AMOP and the OBB, the respondents agreed that the color of the AMOP and OBB is pleasing to the eye and catches their attention. It also agreed upon that both products are in a neutral shade and positively impact the quality of their appearance. The average mean of 4.16 for AMOP and 3.78 for OBB showed that the respondents agreed with most statements. For Table 6.2, which presents the respondents' degree of agreement in terms of the texture of AMOP and OBB. The respondents were asked if the texture of the two products were smooth, satisfying, uniform, and leaves no sticky effects. The summary of the results showed that the respondents strongly agreed with the texture of AMOP, that is being smooth and leaves no sticky effects, with the addition of agreeing that it is satisfying and uniform. On the other hand, the respondents agreed that the OBB is smooth and satisfying, leaves no sticky effects, and it is neutral in terms of uniform. The average mean of 4.42 for AMOP and 3.57 for OBB showed the respondents agreed with most statements. Now, let's move on to Table 6.3, which is the degree of agreement of the respondents in terms of the odor, scent of AMOP and OBB. The respondents were asked if the scent of the two products were musky, enjoyable, satisfying, and did not give an overpowering smell. The results showed that the respondents strongly agreed that AMOP smells musky and satisfying. Additionally, it is agreed that it is enjoyable and does not give an overpowering smell. Regarding OBB, the respondents agreed that it smells musky, enjoyable, and satisfying, but a neutral answer for not having an overpowering smell. The average mean of 4.43 for AMOP and 3.95 for OBB showed that the respondents agreed with most statements. For Table 6.4, which shows the respondents' degree of agreement in terms of the longevity of AMOP and OBB. The respondents were asked if the scent of the two products did not quickly disappear, lasted longer than 1 hour, and was satisfying in terms of longevity. The results showed that the respondents agreed that the scent longevity of the AMOP and the OBB did not quickly disappeared, lasted longer than 1 hour, and was satisfying in terms of the longevity. So the average mean of 4.28 for AMOP and 4.01 for OBB showed that respondents agreed with most statements. For Table 6.5, it shows the degree of agreement of the respondents in terms of the medicinal essence of AMOP and OBB. The respondents were asked in terms of the medicinal essence if the scent of the two products, the AMOP and the OBB, enhances their mood, makes them feel refreshed, and makes them feel comfortable. The respondents agreed that the AMOP, the AMOP, enhances their mood and strongly agreed to make them feel refreshed and comfortable. On the other hand, the respondents agreed that OBB enhances their mood, is refreshing and comfortable. The average mean of 4.46 for AMOP resulted in respondents strongly agreeing with most statements, and for OBB with 3.84 means agreeing with statements. For the last table, the degree of agreement of the respondents in terms of the cost of AMOP and OBB is shown in the table 6.6. The results were asked if the AMOPs and OBB's affordability in market price and cheapness in production cost. The results showed that the respondents strongly agree that the product's price is affordable and the product's AMOP production cost is cheap. Moreover, the respondents also agreed that the market price of the OBB is affordable and cheap in production cost. With that, the average mean of 4.43 for AMOP and 3.65 for OBB showed that the respondents agreed with most statements. So this ends the discussion for the degree of agreements, and now let's proceed to the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents. Now let's proceed to its significant difference. Firstly, the table 7.1, which presents the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of color. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 1.81, which is less than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it does not fall within the rejection region. Therefore, the null hypothesis was accepted. Hence, this indicates that there is no significant difference. For table 7.2, it shows the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of texture. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 4.62, which is more than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it falls within the rejection region. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected. Hence, this indicated a significant difference. For table 7.3, it shows the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents in the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of odor or scent. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 3.13, more than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it falls within the rejection region. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected. Hence, this indicated a significant difference. For table 7.4, it shows the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of longevity. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 1.44, less than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it does not fall within the rejection region. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted. Hence, this indicated that there is no significant difference. For table 7.5, it shows the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of the medicinal essence. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 2.85, more than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it falls within the rejection region. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected. Hence, this indicated a significant difference. Finally, for the last table, table 7.6 shows the significant difference in the degree of agreement of the respondents on the indicated qualities of AMOP and OBB in terms of cost. As presented in the table, the value of T-stat is 3.6, which is more than the T-critical two-tail value, which is 2.05, and it falls within the rejection region. So therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected. Hence, this indicated a significant difference. This ends the discussion for the significant difference, and now let's proceed to the last chapter of this study.
Thank you, Mr. Omar, for presenting the result and analysis of the data. And now, let's proceed to the conclusion of our conducted study. This study concluded that AOP's formulation includes three essential oil, jojoba oil, and vodka, while OBB's formulation includes oat chips, charcoal, and bakur burning. The physical characteristics of AMOP and OBB were observed, with AOP being cloudy white with a hint of yellow, and OBB being mix of wood brown and dark brown. The AMOP had a musky sweet scent, while OBB had a musky, strong, and smoky scent. AMOP and OBB had different undertones and longevity. The AMOP had a pH level of 4.47, while OBB's pH level is 7. The materials and components used in AMOP includes vodka, jojoba oil, distilled water, lavender essential oil, oud essential oil, vanilla essential oil, bottle containers, packaging, and a cost of 292 Qatari riyals with a selling price of 40 riyals per 100 ml. In addition, there was no significant difference in respondents' evaluation of color and longevity, but there is significant difference in respondents' evaluation of texture, odor, scent, medicinal essence, and cost. The degree agreement of respondents varied to medium to high practical significance in most cases. And now, may I call Mr. Winfred Wilkes for the presentation of the recommendations.
Thank you, Ms. Ayumi, for discussing the conclusion of our conducted study. So let's move on to the recommendation of our study. The ethical environmental impact of wood bacoor has led researchers to explore the potential of using agarwood organic source of perfume. Their study suggests that agarwood-based products can serve as a viable alternative to tradition of wood bacoor burning, provided a certain improvement are made in formulation and distillation procedures. In their finding, the researchers recommend several courses of action for the different stakeholders, like the perfume users. They recommend the purchasing products made from the agarwood rather than the ones that naturally burn in smoke. They also suggest that enhancing a formulation and distillation procedure for a better scent quality. To the community, the researchers suggest that people make use of agarwood-based products as the alternative to wood bacoor burning. They also encourage the conducting further studies to refine and reproduce the product. To the perfume manufacturers, the researchers recommend the utilizing agarwood-based product as an example of alternative to wood bacoor burning. They also encourage the production of byproduct with more environmental friendly properties that have positive impacts on health. Lastly, for the future researchers, the study can serve as a starting point of advancing studies on the agarwood-based products. They are advised to manage the distillation process in a laboratory with applicable equipment and the support of licensed scientists for precise and genuine results.